Mobile.
Hello.
What's going on?
You waiting for a response?
This is a one-way conversation. No one can respond to us. We hope you guys are doing well. We are here today. We're about to have a conversation about Do Some Good and the magazine project. Sit back, relax. We're going to have a cool conversation. Here we go. Mobile.
Hello.
I just said Mobile. I said it correctly.
Did you?
Yeah, because usually I say Mobile, and apparently I'm incorrect, even though I'm from Mobile, and I feel like I can say it how I want. You know?
Potato, potato.
Potato, potato.
We're super excited to have you guys today. We are bringing our Do Some Good Mobile publication, this bad boy right here. We are bringing it to life with some podcasts. We are going to be interviewing organizations along the way over the next couple of weeks. And today we have Matt Armbruster with Ransom Ministries. We're super excited to dive in to that organization and everything it is about and every way that you can get involved.
We're going to bring them in just a second. That was your tease. Just a second, we'll bring them in. If you haven't heard the magazine, if you haven't gotten the magazine, one thing to do would be to hop onto the mobilerundown.com. So if you go to our website and go click on Do Some Good magazine over here, you can get it digitally online. And then every organization that's in there, every organization that's in the magazine, you can get a copy from them directly or at businesses around town. And so that's the way that you can get it. If after you've heard the conversation today, you get excited and you want to get your own copy of the magazine. So I'm pumped.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to talk to Matt Armbruster today. So should we go and bring him in?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. All right, Matt. Welcome, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate it too.
Likewise.
Heck yeah, man. Tell us about Ransom. Tell everyone if they imagine someone's never heard of Ransom Ministries. What is this thing? Like, give the story, man. How did it start and what's the story about it?
Okay, so back in 2010, actually probably 2008, 2009, me and my wife were really just searching for a way we could use God's gifts to glorify Him. We'd been working jobs, making money, doing that, and just felt like we were just missing out on something that He had intended for us. So we just started really praying through some things, and I come through some really crazy ideas. I'm a very idea person. I think that's why you and I kind of get along and talk a little bit, is that my brain never shuts off when it comes to like ideas. So I would come to her and we were praying, and we did this Bible study called If You Want to Walk on Water, You Got to Get Out of the Boat. And so we did that.
So good.
I would say this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. And I go to the other. My wife is very discerning. Her name's Tara. And so I just kept coming at her. And one day I come to her and I said, hey, what if we had a place where people could come, sit down, order their food, get a hot meal, and pay whatever they wanted? And she's like, that's what we're supposed to do. And she said, I've been praying. God gave me the name Ransom, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So He gave me this scripture, Matthew 20:28, that said, if Jesus did not come here to be served, but to serve and give His life as a ransom for many. So that's where the word ransom came from. And when I dug a little deeper in that scripture, it actually meant to wait on tables. The word serve meant to wait on tables. And the word ransom meant to liberate many from misery. So that's kind of lined up with what we were wanting to do with the Ransom Cafes. I had been in the restaurant business for many years. I had my own barbecue restaurant for years. I worked for corporate restaurants. So I think it was God's way of getting me into this with me not feeling so like I didn't know what I was doing. So we started this cafe, and I'll never forget it. And God kind of worked some really cool stuff out, and how we could do it, how we could quit our job. I could quit my job and I could do this full time. And He provided for us the whole time. And so we started Ransom Café at Westmobile Baptist Church out on Airport Boulevard in the old Hangar. And we just started serving. The first day we did about 40 plates. And I'll never forget sitting back. And I've opened many restaurants in my day, and they never go smooth. They never have no glitches. And I sat back, and this thing ran like a top. And I was sitting around watching. It was cool because it wasn't just the people coming in, but it was the people that were serving. I had three ladies. One was a widow for the last probably 30 years. Another lady was a widow for the last probably 10, and another one was a very new widow. So they were there ministering to each other, talking to each other. And I just realized right then that this was way bigger than serving people that needed food. And so we started Ransom Café, and we did cafes in that one spot for about 3 years. And then people just kept coming, and a couple more churches said, "Hey, you think you could do that at my church?" And I was like, I don't see why not. I mean, it's pretty easy. So we started another one. We went to Christ United Methodist. We started one there. Then we went to First Christian Church down on Government, started one there. Then we went to Trinity Family in Pritchard area. Actually, it's Mobile, but it's like right by Pritchard, Victory Avenue. We started that one there. And we had 7 total cafes at one time, really running, doing what they're supposed to. And the cool thing about cafes is we got to sit with people and eat with them. And that's when you put people at ease, when you're eating with them, fellowshipping with them. And I think that, if you look through the Bible, Jesus ate and drank with everyone. And that's why, because it puts you on their level. They'll share things with you that they would never share with anyone else. So we got to know people, and we use that as an avenue to build community. So we built that community, and we found out other needs. I actually went homeless on purpose for shorter time than I'm thankful it was only 4 days. But I went.
I was going to bring that up, man, because I think that's cool. So, yes, sorry to interrupt you. I was going to bring that up if you didn't, because I just think that's crazy that you did that in order to know what it's like to know what someone needs. So, yeah, sorry. Carry on, man. You went homeless for short.
I'm being interrupted, but so here's the deal. So I didn't know anything about homelessness. I didn't know nothing about poor. I wasn't poor as long as I could. No one told me I was poor when I grew up. So, I mean, I might have been and just didn't know it. But I didn't know anything about it. So I decided, you know what? I need to find out kind of what their struggles are, what they have to go through. So I packed a backpack, $10, one change of clothes, and a tent. And I got out of my truck one morning. It was in February. It was Mardi Gras week. I'll never forget it. I left on a Friday. And that was one of those other things where I went to my wife and gave her my idea. And I was really hoping she would tell me it was a stupid idea. And told me that I was supposed to. So I went out, and literally it rained. Mobile, Alabama rain from the time I stepped out of my truck till the time I went home. And I was soaked wet, miserable. I tried to find a place to put my tent. And I was in West Mobile. I wasn't in downtown. I wasn't in Midtown. I was out in West Mobile. And every set of woods I went in, there was someone in them. And I wanted to go. I didn't want to really put myself in too much danger. So I wasn't going to camp out with a bunch of other people I really didn't know. So I found a place in West Mobile. I pitched my tent. It was pouring down rain. Everything in my tent got wet. The inside got wet. And I found a laundromat. And I went ahead and dried all my clothes. I dried my backpack. I dried everything, used some of my $10, bought a gallon of water. I went back to my tent and literally waded down to my tent. There was so much water. And I got there and everything was still wet. And so I got in my tent. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon. It was dark. It was getting dark. And I laid there and I'm thinking, it's like 12 hours till it gets daylight. And I'm going to have to. And it was the most miserable experience I've ever had in my life. I mean, I love hunting and fishing. I love camping, but this was nothing like that. It was nothing. But it also helped me realize, a lot of people go through these things and we just want to judge them by what we see and not know their whole story. So I went along in a few days, and it was funny because I wanted some food. I'm a big dude, so I didn't have any food on me. So come Saturday, I kind of roamed around, and the Bible talks about just roaming with no purpose. That's how I felt. I just walked around. I mean, I literally walked from one area of town in a square miles. I got blisters on my feet because my feet were wet, my socks were wet, and I had blisters on top of blisters, and I couldn't hardly walk. And this was one day. I can't imagine. I know people have been out there for months, and I was there one day. That's how weak I am. And so I walked, and that Sunday, I was going to go to church, right? So I figure I'll go to church and I'll get maybe I'll find some food or something. So I went to a church, and it was miserable. All I could think about was, do I smell? Is people are looking at me funny? No one talked to me when I walked in the church. I had a backpack on. That's the only thing that made me different than anybody else. I sat there, and I got up halfway through service and just left. And I went walking, and I saw this church letting out. So I went to it, and I said, "Hey, you got any kind of food assistance? I'm kind of hungry." And they said, "No, we don't do that." And so I was like, "Okay." So I walked away, and I went to another church. I went to 3 different ones, 3 different denominations. So one denomination couldn't say, "Yeah, them Baptists or them Methodists or whatever." I went to different to see if it might be different at one. Well, it wasn't. So I went to another church, the last one, and it's literally this lady's walking out with a 9x13 pan, right? And she's walking to her car, and I'm going, "Excuse me, ma'am." And if she could have run, she probably was like 80, so she couldn't really run from. But she wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't acknowledge me. She wouldn't do anything. And finally, I yelled loud enough, I guess, that I startled her. So she answered me. And I said, "Do y'all have any kind of food assistance?" And she goes, "I don't know. There's someone in the lobby." So I go in the lobby, and there's these 2 gentlemen dressed real nice and have their ties on. And I said, "Hey, y'all got any kind of food assistance?" And I'm getting kind of irritated by now. I'm just like, really? Well, they go, "No, we don't have anything, but we're trying to work on it." And so I look behind them, and in a room behind them, there's tables full of food. They're having like a dinner on the grounds or a potluck or something. Didn't invite me to it. And that was the closest. I really wanted to say, you know what? You don't serve the same Jesus I serve. I wanted to throw. I mean, I wanted to throw him against the wall. I'll be honest. I just wanted to go. You know what? Oh, and so then I walk out, and on a sign outside their door it says, "Come as you are." And I went, "Bull. That is such a lie. Why you put that on?" I didn't say this, but I was thinking it. So then most people in this area would say probably aren't really Christians. And guess who gave me food? That church. They gave me the food. They gave me a pop can or a can of stew, and they gave me some Pop-Tarts. And dude, them things were awesome. And I've never ate cold before, but it was awesome. I had to tell them I needed a can of water, but that was about it. So what I learned through that process. So then I go home. I'm sorry I got off on that story, but I wanted to kind of share the frustration of people in poverty and homelessness with the church, with so-called Christians that don't really do. And I'm not saying go out and hand free stuff out to each other, because I'm totally against free handouts. I just don't believe that does anybody any good. I believe there's levels of giving. There's a relief stage where people really need help, and we're going to give it to them, like in a hurricane or someone that's really starving. We're going to give them the food. But if that's all we ever do, that's where they stay. So we have to move them to the rehabilitation stage, where they move to where they were before they had the crisis, where God really had them. Then we move to the development stage, where we move them past what they even think they can do. But see, a lot of our ministries, mine included at first, kept people in the relief stage, because then it becomes what we call a needs-based relationship. When things are needs-based relationships, then your relationship with that person is because they have something you need, and you're going to go for it. So then when that need is gone, that relationship is gone. So then they have to find another need. That's why people come back and say, "Hey, I need my power bill paid." And then they get that paid. And then they say, "Hey, I need gas for my car." It's not because they're greedy. It's because they have a relationship need. And so they know the only way they're going to have a relationship with you is if you have a need, if they have a need. So instead, why don't you have hard conversations with them and say, "Hey, why do you have this need? How can I help you not have this need anymore? How can we move past this?" So through that process, I learned that. I learned what we need to do as far as ministering. It changed the way I minister to people. It changed the way that I myself operate with people, how I look at people. But one good thing I got out of it, when I got home after this all was over and God released me, thank God, I went home and took a shower for like an hour and a half because I hadn't had a shower since Friday, and I'm big on showers. I hope everybody else is too, but people around me especially. So I went and took a shower, and I'm just weeping in my shower, going, you know, food's great and all that, but we got to get laundry and showers to people. How can we do that? For 2 years, so I got out of the shower and I wrote down this sketch, right? This is what I want. I want this trailer that we can pull around and we can take to people and let them take showers and do their laundry. And so for 2 years, I prayed through it, and we've raised money, and we bought it, and we had it built, and we pulled it around. It was 28 foot long, had 3 washers, 3 dryers, 2 showers, 2 toilets, sinks, everything. And we pulled it around, let people. And we did that for about 4 years, and we did thousands of loads of laundry, and we took it to Baton Rouge and did laundry during the floods. And it was just a really cool tool for us to get to know people, because when you have their clothes, you kind of have them captive. They're not going to go anywhere. So we did that. And so God's kind of done a lot of cool things to get us to where we are now, because that got me to talk to people more and get to know what their other needs were. You know, many people needed jobs. People wanted to go to work, but no one would give them a job. Many of them didn't know how to keep a job. You know, they knew they were working for the wrong reasons. They were working for a paycheck, and not because it's God's gift to us. He's gifted us to work, whether that be owning a business, whether that be working for someone, whatever that might be. He has gifted us with that. And people don't realize that. So as we got to know him, I said, man, we got to put people to work. We got to figure out how to take these people from needing. So that goes back to the relief, needing food, needing showers, needing laundry, to developing them, but also rehabilitating them, making them think differently about themselves, about God, about work, and about their community, because they have to change that. It has to be a paradigm shift that shifts from the way they think about certain things. So we started, I come up with this idea that we could do these classes where they could come in and learn life skills. They can learn how to shake hands with people. They can learn how to show up to work on time. They could learn why that's important. They could learn how to dress. They can learn how to talk to people. And so we started Ransom ReProgram in 2000 and I think 15, I'm not sure. So we handed the churches the cafes. We said, okay, we've showed you how to do it. Y'all do it, take it, run with it. It could be your ministry. You can call it whatever you want. It don't have to be Ransom. Just do what you're doing. So 6 of the 7 are still operating today, but under different teams. So one is like one is the Community Cafe, one is the Bread of Life Cafe, one is the Carmita's Kitchen. So it's kind of cool to see them take ownership in it and hand that off. I believe that was biblical. Jesus handed off his ministry to his disciples. I think that we're supposed to be like him. So I just said, you know, and it was funny because everybody's real territorial in ministry, you know, and it drives me nuts because I really could care less what, you know, you could have everything. I don't care. But when I did it, like, well, why are you letting them change the name? I said, well, because I don't really care what they do with it. You know, I just want them to serve people. So we started that. And when we got rid of that, not really rid of it, we handed it off. Then I was able to concentrate on this job training thing. So we started ReProgram. We called it that because we're trying to reprogram the way we think about God, the way we think about ourselves, the way we think about work and our community. So ReProgram's like a computer, which is cool because when you hear what we're doing now, it all was tied together. So in 2015, we did that. And we was running people through here straight out of the woods, man. I mean, they were coming on the bus. They were living in a tent in the woods and coming here to class. And we were teaching them these things. And I'll tell you a real quick story. I know I'm doing all the talking, but you told me history, and we've been doing this 11 years. And so there's a lot of history.
You got a lot of history. Yeah.
You're good. No, please.
Tell us, man. Go ahead.
So we had this guy that came, and I met him at the clean machine. And he would never look at me. He would never talk to me. He would just do his laundry, and he would eat his meal, and he would go home. And I would try. I'm a very talkative person, as you can tell, and I would just keep talking. I say, hey, dude, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, what's your name? And he wouldn't tell me. I did that for about a year. Every single day I saw him, I'd be like, come on, man, come. What's going on? What's your needs? How you doing? And then finally he talked to me and I said, dude, I'm starting this job training thing, man, where I can get you a job, hopefully, and work you through these things. And he looked at me and he said, you'll never get me a job. The things I've done are way too bad. And he's been in prison 15 years. He was homeless for 4 years. He'd been homeless for 4 years, living in the woods. I said, and I'll be honest, when he told me what he had done, I didn't think I could get him a job either. But I knew God could, because I serve a whole lot bigger God than myself. And so he joined. He said, okay, I'll do it. So he rode the bus out to Chickasaw, to our location, every day. He never missed a day. He was at there. He did his homework, because we had homework they did. It's a workbook. And he showed up, and this friend of mine I know has a company, and they needed someone to do a very menial job, like very menial. Like most people wouldn't do it, right? And I said, I got the guy, man. I got the guy for you. And I talked to him. I said, hey, would you? And I told him his story. I told him what he'd done. And they was like, I don't care. And that was almost 6 years ago. And he is still working for that company. He now has a house. Awesome. He's got a car, driver's license. He is.
Oh, I love it.
Sales. He's not in the menial job anymore. And he's still there. And I've got multiple people. I could tell you multiple guys. I got guys that were murder one, that were in prison. They were scheduled 99 years in prison, got out in 20, came through a program, still working the same job 5 years later. And it's because of character. We teach a lot of character in our studies about what it means. You know, character don't cost us a dime. You don't have to work for character, but the thing about it is we're not born with it. We're not born with good character. We're born sinful, and we're born to make bad choices, and we're born to do that, but we have to train ourselves to not do that. So we teach them how to be humble, how to be honest, how to be punctual, how to communicate, how to do those things that don't cost them anything. They don't have to go to school for. They don't have to do anything. So that's what makes them longevity at their job. So we started ReProgram, and it was awesome. And I loved seeing people go to work, and I loved seeing people get jobs, but I was also seeing some people not, because we had about a 75% success rate of the people that came through, graduated our program. 75% of the graduates stayed at a job for at least a year, which, is good. I mean, it's all right. It's a C, which is great for me in school. I would love to have C's, but I wanted more from that. I wanted to know, why are we missing out on the other 25%? What are those 25% need that we're not giving them? And so I realized that a lot of them, it was work. They couldn't come sit in a 2-hour class and not get no money. They needed to provide. And there's a thing called rapid attachment. If you don't rapidly attach someone coming out of addiction, homelessness, or incarceration to a job, they will go back to what they know. They'll go back to what they know, how to make money, and they'll start hustling again, because they're natural born hustlers. Just like you and me, we're hustlers, but we hustle the right way, and we use those gifts to hustle the right way. Well, they haven't learned how to use those gifts. They are very gifted. I tell people all the time, a drug dealer would make the best business owner there ever was. Redirect their job, redirect them.
Agreed.
Because they have the skills. I mean, they're hustlers. They get up early, but they have the threat of dying. They have the threat of being arrested, but they keep on hustling. So if you could redirect that into a job scene, they would be phenomenal. They would be amazing. So we started doing some really weird things. Like, I would make crosses out of old pallets. I would have them work in a wood shop. I would have them refinish furniture, but I found out real quick that not everybody can refinish furniture. It is a gift. It is a skill that not everyone has. So we ruined a lot of furniture. It was no use. We couldn't make no money doing it. We weren't making enough revenue. So I said, well, what are we going to do? So I did what most people don't do, including myself, is I just got on my knees in the middle of my shop, and I said, God, what do you want me to do? What do we need to do? I know we need to put a job piece in this. We need to put a place where they can make money. So what do you want me to do? And I'm literally got the word e-recycle in my head. And it's electronic recycle. I didn't know that at the time. It was like a billboard. It was like a neon sign in my brain that said e-recycle. And I was like, oh. So I do what everybody does, and I Googled it. I said, okay, e-recycle, what is it? And I saw it was electronic recycling. And in the second spot, there was a place called Recycle Force, which was a nonprofit that took prisoners out of jail when they got out of prison, and they put them to work, tearing electronics apart and learning how to be a worker. Not necessarily how to take electronics apart, but learning the basics of working, showing up to work, doing what you're told, trying to resolve a problem, trying to resolve conflict with your coworkers, how to do that. And it was called a theater of work. It was a practice stage for when they went to work. And I was like, dude, that's what we're going to do. That's what we got to do. So I did.
And where did you hear about that program? You just like when you Googled?
When I Googled it, it was like on the
Okay.
second one on the Google list or whatever. And so I called them, right? I'm like, dude, I'm going to call these guys and find out what they're doing. So I call them, and the secretary answers, and I start talking, and I'm like, tell them what I want to do. And she goes, well, you need to talk to the guy that started it. I said, okay, well, I thought she was going to schedule me an appointment, right, to talk to him. And I'm like, she goes, hold on a second. She transfers me to his phone. I get on the phone. And we talk for 3 hours on the phone.
Oh man.
This dude, he was an ex-con, couldn't find a job, so he started taking electronics apart, selling it, scrapping it. And then he said, man, I could put other people like me to work. So he got one other guy, then he got another guy. Now they're a $7.5 million nonprofit. They run
Whoa.
They run 70 people through their program every 90 days. 70
That's
people
incredible.
coming straight out of prison every 90 days. And so he said, man, he goes, I have people call me all the time want to do this. He said, but I really believe you want to do it. So why don't you fly up here and spend some time with me, and we'll show you everything we do. So I flew up there for 3 days, me and another guy, and they showed me, literally gave me all their proprietary information, spreadsheets, buyers, what to look for, how to take it apart. I've probably watched 500 YouTube videos on how to take stuff apart, because I didn't know I had never looked in a computer. I didn't even know how to turn the computer on. That's how dumb I was. So I didn't know anything about those. So as I learned that, and he helped me, that's when we started Ransom Recycling, where we take old electronics, anything with a cord, we let our guys work in stations, we tear it apart, we separate it, we sell it, we pay them $9 an hour. They work 30 hours a week. They learn how to budget that money. They learn what to do with money when they get it. They stay with me for 90 days. Then I got a stat. We just started. So I'm jumping ahead. But so as we went along, I was like, I need to find a B job. So we call it the ABCs of work. Any job, a better job, a career. Any job.
Got it.
Tearing freaking electronics apart because they can't break it. It's already broke. So they tear it apart. They learn how to use tools. They learn how to resolve problems because computers have thousands of screws. So you have to figure out, hey, how come this thing ain't coming apart? They have to look. It's very spiritual when you're taking a computer apart, because you got to not want to cuss because you can't get it apart, but you also got to think through it. And it's a process of looking through, just like anything. So as we went along, I'm going to have to move real quick because I got a class of ladies coming in for class. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know we're in the middle of the show, but so we
You're
have,
good.
You're fine.
so we run classes for the Home of Grace. So they bring in all their women, and we're part of their 90-day program. So they run through our curriculum during that time. So anyway, we started Ransom Recycling in 2018, and we started with one homeless guy living in his car. He then got a job as a mechanic, went to work 90 days later, and then we just kind of excelled from there. I'm running about 10 to 12 guys in our 90-day program. Every 90 days, I bring them through, and then we put them to work. And
is your goal to get your guys straight from prison as well? And is that the attempt? And then have the 90-day job and then flow them to the B job? Is that the goal?
Yeah. Hold on one second.
Yeah, sure.
I know.
Okay, I'll be in there in a minute.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Oh, good.
I was thinking, before everybody got here. But so my goal is to get, I don't care who they are, homeless, addicted, or I'm looking for homeless people, addicted people, and criminals. The only three people that no one else is looking to hire, that's who I'm looking to hire. That's who I'm trying to bring in, because they're the ones I can help the most, but also they can change a lot of people's lives. So we started, and that's kind of my goal. I partner with different people. I partner with pardons and paroles. I partner with the Daily Reporting Center, which is, that's where they report to their probation officers. I partner with a place called the Neighbor Center, which handles reentry housing for people coming out of prison. I partner with a Home of Grace. I partner with Wings of Life. Anybody that does handles the people I handle, then they come to me. And the thing is they have to pass drug tests when they're with me. They have to do all those things. They have to be ready to move on to that stage. And we develop them through 18 sessions of learning how to do mock interviews, how to do a resume, how to answer questions about their past, to what the Bible says about good workers, making the Bible relevant to who they are, like through David and Jonah and all those different stories that people don't know. So we started that. And then we realized that, hey, we could put them to work in their B job by starting a staffing company. So we started Ransom Staffing, and we just started in April. I've got about 6 guys working for different companies in Mobile, mainly warehouse work. My goal is to take every graduate and plug them into there for a period of time, so that then they can still remain under, our discipleship, but also make a little bit more money, get a little more experience, build their resume, do all those things so they can move on to their career, go to school, whatever. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is trying to launch this staffing and really get it to work and put these people through work. And again, our partnership with the Home of Grace brings ladies that are going through the Home of Grace here in their last month of rehab, and then they go through these sessions. And it's just it's cool to look back where we came from. That's why I love sharing our history, because it gives me faith. It builds my faith within myself to know, hey, I got this. God's got this under his control. It's nothing I've done. It's nothing I can do. And I just got to be open to whatever he has set before us.
I love it, man. This staffing company idea is such a great idea. I'm curious if that other e-recycling company, do they do that? Because if not, you're going to be giving them tips on ideas. I mean, I'm thinking maybe they do that as well. But do they do that?
I can't take credit for that, because they do it as well. I don't fix
That's
things.
cool.
I don't want to fix nothing that ain't broke. I just want to better for us. And I'm not too proud to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to use whatever materials, whatever resources I got to make things better for people,
You're providing something that really, honestly, most people don't even get. People who are coming out of high school or coming out of college, you're providing these people who obviously need this training, but I think we all actually need a program like you have to learn how to work, to learn how to be punctual, to know what to do and know what to say and know how to present yourself to keep a job, land a job, all those kinds of things. Those are the kind of things kids are not learning that in high school when they're 18, graduating, going out into the world. So what you're providing is something that's really incredible.
Well, that's kind of my vision too, is this curriculum. We've actually produced our own curriculum. The thing about the one up in Indianapolis, they're not really a faith-based organization, nonprofit, and we're trying to put that in and tweak and they don't have a curriculum that they teach. They just kind of teach those things. So we have produced over the last 3 years, we've actually made our own curriculum, and we're in the process right now of getting it to where, like, you can get it on Amazon. You can get our curriculum on Amazon now, and we want to do it. We want to show schools they can do this curriculum. Now, with the faith-based part of it, it makes it a little more tricky, but I don't really think it is. If you could get kids to lead the groups, because we just have volunteers teach the classes, and we get people that are passionate about, resumes, or passionate about different things to do it for us, And so we started this curriculum. It's been great to have. And so we're trying to get that out. My goal is to start marketing this curriculum by the end of the year, and that we can use it for schools, businesses, because it's a great training tool for businesses as well. And working on a workshop for it, working on seminars to show how to do it through that. So that's kind of our down the range goal, because, you know, I know you guys are big proponents on multiple revenue streams. I am personally as well, but also I think ministries need to do that. We have to have multiple revenue streams so that we don't depend on donations and people to give to us. Because if I'm going to ask someone if I'm going to be against free handouts, if I'm going to be against someone getting free stuff all the time, why me as a ministry should I depend totally on free handouts? So I need to generate my own revenue and be able to do what we do and use that money to do something else. So those are called social enterprises, which our recycling is, our staffing is. I'm gonna have a thrift store sooner or later, but a nice one, not a smelly one, one that has really clothes. So that's kind of what I think is, as a ministry, if we can do that, then I can use resources better, more efficient, and be more biblical using them. And that's kind of what we think with all that.
Love it.
I think it's incredible. I want to know where you get your energy. You have created, what you have created and what you're working on is something that has been years in the making. One thing has led you to the next, to the next, to the next. And so your story, the story of Ransom, is amazing. And we appreciate all that you are doing in our community, because these are the parts of our community that need the help the most. To get back out there and to become productive members of society and be able to work and provide for their families. And so the cycle ends with them.
Yeah. And no, go ahead.
So you say that, so that's how you have to try to think. So if I put one gentleman to work, if I put him to work, it affects generations. It affects his kids, because now they see daddy going to work. It affects their kids. It affects their kids. It breaks the cycle of poverty. That's what our whole thing is, breaking the cycle of poverty, because all we are is on a vicious circle, and they get on it and they can't get off. They don't know how to get off. So we try to help them with that. And the cool thing is that it costs $30,000 to keep a guy in prison for 1 year. It takes $30,000. It cost me $5,000 to put them to work. $5,000 to put a guy through my 90-day program. That is an ROI that no one can ever get. When you invest, so you're going to invest in it whether you want to or not. You know, you might not invest in our program, but if we don't have our program, you're going to invest in that $30,000 that's keeping them in prison. Plus, you're cutting down on people needing health care. You're cutting down on crime in your neighborhood. You're cutting down on the hospital, because most people in poverty don't have insurance. So they go to the hospital and they get their care, and someone pays for it. So why not us fix the problem? Not really I never say we're fixers. We're just tool givers. We're just going to give them tools in order to be who God intended them to be, because they're not when they're operating in poverty. He didn't intend us to be poor, even though there's a lot of people out there that say we need to be paupers and we need to be poor if we're really Christians. I think that's not true. If you look through it, it's all about how you use your money. He wants you to have money so that you can then help other people. That's the whole purpose. And so when we teach our guys and our ladies that, and they move from takers to givers, that's the way it was intended to be. Because right now, when you're poor and when you're in crime and all that, you're a taker. That's not how God intended us to be. He intended us to be givers. So we try to teach that philosophy. And I think you're right, though. Everybody needs to know this. Everybody, not just criminals, drug addicts, and homeless people, but business owners and people that are in the world that are doing it for the wrong things. It would help the world. But anyway, that's my soapbox about that.
No, it's great. I'm glad that you shared.
No, I think it's awesome, man. And I know you probably got to get to the ladies in the class you've got. So let's kind of wrap it up. Tell, what is the one thing you want people to do? How can people find you, connect with your ministry? What's the best way for people to do that?
All right, there's a few things. Of course, we're on all the social medias: TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, whatever you call it.
You're on the Snapchat. Oh,
That's a new one.
I have one that I'm coming out with called Snapchat. Anyway, so we have all the different social medias that we're on. We try to post on there periodically. We have a website called ransomrecycling.com. You can go on there and find all about our recycling, how you give us stuff, how you can donate stuff, how you can do a drive, all those things. We also have ransomministries.com, which will cover all of our ministries and what we do. We also have a podcast called The Ransom Experience, where you can plug in every Wednesday. We have a new person that we interview. We interview our students who have been through our program and kind of tell their story, where they came from, where they are now. We tell stories of our partners. We tell stories of guys that are volunteering with us and how it's affected their lives. And we do that every Wednesday. You can find that on all the different podcast places. Also, we have a book called Life Outside the Boat. I wrote it. It shares experiences. It shares my whole homeless experience on what I went through. I actually blogged about it. The whole chapter's on that. I have all my philosophies on serving, why we serve, how we serve, all those different things. So that's one way you can find us, or you can call us at 251-751-0044 and get in touch with us. And just we always need donations of electronics. I mean, I still take donations of money. I hope you're wrong that I don't.
we will take cash. We will take cash. Yeah. You will accept cash.
Free, so it's tax deductible, everything, and it will go to change people's lives. I can guarantee you that.
I love it, man. That is the most, I think that's probably one of the most thorough, here are all the channels and the ways that you can reach out to us. And I appreciate that, man, for you being that thorough. That was awesome. Any final question before we let Matt go?
No, I just want to thank you for all that you're doing. Just an incredible service to our community.
Well, thank you for getting the word out, and God bless what y'all do. And I look forward to talking to you.
Thanks, Matt. All right, man. Talk soon.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Sweet. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
That was really cool. So no, go ahead. I'm gonna find their website. I'm gonna put it up on here on the video while we're kind of closing down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see.
No, I was gonna say that's for sure gonna be like hands down the most informative thing that we have put out for them, and most encompassing detail of the history that this organization has, everything they have done and everything they have gone through to get to the place they are now. And so if you are listening or you are watching and you want to give back in a way, or you know someone who could benefit from these programs, please reach out to Ransom Ministries.
Cool. So here's our website right here, ransomministries.com. Oh yeah, everything Matt just mentioned is on here. It's a podcast. I'm pumped to check. I heard an episode of the podcast a while back, and I'm pumped to kind of get that back on my radar and listen to some more recycling. So everything's there. That's super cool. That's exciting. All right. Any final word? We told people how they can get the magazine. If you are before, we almost did not say this. Joe Bullard sponsored Ransom Ministries for this write-up in this magazine. So thank you to Joe Bullard for that. If you're a company and you want to sponsor an organization in the upcoming magazine, which will be next year, this is a once-a-year project that we do. Our goal is to get 100 organizations. We have 20-something organizations in this magazine. We'd like to get 100-something. If some giant company out there wants to underwrite the entire project so that we can put it together, that would be awesome as well, because printing and producing magazines obviously cost money. So, but we'd love for you to, if you're in the weeds out there, we'd love for you to come and find us.
Absolutely.
So, I thought it was credible. Until next time.
Until next time.
Until next time.